And I thought, wow, system is one thing that I've been trying to put together for a very long time, and I don't have systems. And also, it's here, it's there, it's there, it's everywhere, all at once. Apart from system, I'm sure it's not because it needs money to work time and exchange this time for money. So it's kind of multiplying itself. And I think it was Sam Adeyemi that I learned a bit about systems from, but I haven't really been able to put it into practice. So everything that you talked about, okay, yeah, you do business, you do this, but in the theory, now put the thing in practice and begin to manifest. Well, so that's why I just felt that there's a whole lot that I could learn, and Nigeria-wise, well, I too was Nigeria in 2014, and I worked for them, they didn't pay me. So I said, well, thank you very much, I'm not coming back. So I've been back only once or twice since then. And now I'm thinking, my brother wanted to leave Nigeria, and I was saying to him, no, please, don't leave Nigeria. Try and stay. Because I too am thinking I'm going to be leaning more and more now towards Nigeria. than everywhere else. So I thought there's a whole lot that I could learn, and also international or global business or global establishment.
Okay.
So yeah, it was all those things that, and I shared with my wife, and then we started looking at a few things, I saw the book about farming, and so yeah, and we're also involved in foundation things, and I'm saying, how do I do foundation in Nigeria? How do we, put process in place? We wanted to fund some, people in Ibadan, and my sister couldn't really handle that necessarily. I don't have anything in place on the ground that I can say I can work with people. So yeah, so there's a whole lot that I see already in the short period of time that I've come to know you, that I felt, we learned a lot from this.
Okay. You're welcome. It's nice hearing your stories. It's a very interesting one. But got the miracle of recovering. That's a tough one. Yeah. Okay. Regular.
It's me now, right?
Yes, it's you.
My name is Jonathan Adekunle Odetola. I'm a finance manager, work in both private and public sector. And I'm still working in public sector at the moment. But I'm trying to see how I can pack it in by summer, because I realize that it's hard to do 9 to 5 and then do your own business. There's lots of clash of time. So, and I've been one of Dr. Stephen's disciples for a long time. I'm one of his UK team, including Jordan. And I've learned a lot from him, from reading his books. And a lot I need to do, that big ideas from his books, but I just don't have the time. But I decided that by the grace of God this year, I want to go full-blown, full-time businessman.
Full-blown, full-time businessman. Okay.
Full-time property.
Well, you're welcome, and it's good to have everybody here. So I think what we'll do from the introduction is probably to just do a Q&A. So yes, so I think that's what we'll do. We'll just do Q&A, and we'll move from there. That way we can provide customized solution, because for me that's also why I like small meetings like this, so it can almost be customized to the individuals that we're having the conversation with. Apologies for the challenges with the address and all of that. Like I said, we didn't want too much people to a point where we then create nuisance. I think they said about over 50 something people registered, so we knew this can't even take 50 something people. So the best strategy is to give the address late. Naturally some will fall by the wayside. I will not be able to come. And so that's the reason for it. Once I know we have I'm using my living room like this, I just want to limit it to a very considerable number of people. And I've realized that it always ends up becoming a very exciting conversation because it's more intimate than sometimes when you have everybody involved. So let's take, who wants to go first? You want to go? Question? Eh?
No.
No. Okay. So it seems you have a lot. So let's start with you.
Well,
Keep checking your phone. In
where
case
do I start?
please.
Question-wise, can we look at GTEX as an organization? There's a lot of subsidiaries,
Yes.
and you have GVest, you have the property, you have so many aspects of business endeavor, and I think you have about 300 employees or something like that. Yeah. So how do you keep all that going and still looking after yourself?
Okay. Good question. So the GTEX holding, how do I keep all that going and look after myself? I think the first thing is realizing that the company is 17 years now. And so, and I think I'm saying that intentionally so that we put things in context. Because sometimes when people like us talk indirectly, we create lack of contentment in those who listen to us. Because suddenly, those who are listening to us are analyzing us based on where we are now without reversing back to where we started from. Right? So, when we started, we too have all these challenges. So, not able to pay salaries, not having a good system in place. It was all that we faced. So, in 17 years, if you have some sense, you will figure out how to begin to create a system that works. So what the 17 years has offered us is that there are now people who have been in the system 5 years, 7 years, who are able to man leadership, right? And who have worked with me over time. So they could literally, they know what I would have done if I were the one making the decision. And they are able to then make those decisions on my behalf. Of course, there are still errors. But what happens at this point is that there are more wins than losses. There are more successes than failures. And so at that point, things begin to shape up and everybody begins to see you as a genius, as a Superman. But we fail to realize that it's 17 years of consistently running a company, right? So I think that's very important to understand. Of course, we also have consultants who work with us, who are also having that. We have an advisory board, and we have people who are constantly working with our leaders as well. Where are we on this? Where are we on that? Where are we on this? So that's aside myself. So that has also helped. We currently have MDs for each subsidiaries. They run day-to-day of the business. I don't run day-to-day anymore. We also have a group CEO who is not even a Nigerian. He operates from a shuttle between Dubai and Germany. So he also oversees those MDs and then work with those MDs. And then I come as the chairman after him. He also is over 25 years investment banker, much older than I am. He's in his 50s, about 60 now. So provides that, for a lot of the young MDs, they have that more older, calmer leadership that is able to help. And then I continue that visionary expansion this more of what we need to do now, this is what we must meet up to, these are the targets. So there's a balance. Our group CEO is conservative, wants it wrapped up. I'm the open door, open this, right? So by the time we drag each other here and there, we at least land in the middle, so we land in the middle. So that has helped Digitex Holding to move on. But to have achieved this, I'm not sure we could have achieved rather number of years that it has taken to have people one has mentored, because ultimately the system is a function of human resource. And for the human resource, there's something called loyalty and faithfulness, right? And you only start getting that faithfulness, that loyalty, that right culture when there's enough number of years that has been achieved, mentoring, teaching, inspiring, constantly communicating the core values of the organization, right? These are the things even Jeff Bezos has with Amazon, right? The beginning of Amazon. It doesn't mean those are still the people there, but after that season of creating the culture, right, the system begins to permeate that same culture. Even when you pull out, the culture remains, right? Because you've had the intensive season, right, to pump in the culture. And so even when you've pulled out, you are now still providing that kind of mentorship. So I do a lot of mentorship. Even 2 nights ago, I was still with one of the acting MDs. Sir, why is this way? Why am I struggling? People will call and say, human beings can be difficult. One of the acting MD has been doing it. She did a 30-day challenge to teach our independent marketers. We have thousands, about 15,000 of them. And she was saying they will come for training, learn, and then they will not sell for us, right? They are selling for other companies that didn't invest in training them. I'm frustrated. What do I do? And I had to encourage her and say, well, that's still normal, right? This is the reasons why. Some of them don't want to sell for you because they think you're expensive and they've seen other people who are cheaper. I said, but you need to now begin to add to your training the reason they are cheaper and the reason you're expensive and the benefit of your expensiveness in helping you keep integrity, in helping you remain in business. What people didn't know, for example, for a whole year, we got one of our major accounts frozen by one, in fact, it's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. A police officer went to swear an affidavit that somebody paid money to that account for something and didn't get value. And 1 naira did not enter the account from not the party he's claiming for, but he was bribed, and then swore affidavit, and then a whole company's major account frozen for almost a year. If not for diversification, that would have shut us down. Because what then happens is that it's a post no debit, so more payment kept going in. You can't get it out. In fact, we almost had a crisis. One of our clients who had paid for a house, and then the tenant who wanted to rent it, I think one of the staff mistakenly still gave that account. So the new tenant paid the rent into the account, and so the person said, in fact, somebody said, I'm not renting the house to that tenant again. Yeah, but the money has entered an account. So even if you say that, we can't refund the tenant anymore, right? You have to move money from elsewhere to just pay that particular person. After like 3 months of waiting, hoping the account to be resolved, and it was a long legal battle, before our lawyer was able to solve that issue. But these are the kind of crisis businesses go through, and people watching from outside don't even understand. So the day you just say, that's why I said it's no longer between good and bad at the highest level of leadership. Because you and I know that will affect some vendors who did job for us, whose money is tied into the account, and we can't pay those vendors. And those vendors will be looking at us from the eye of, but your chairman is in London, your chairman is in UK, your chairman is, and they don't even understand the structure that we can't move money for Nigerian operation, for US operation, or for Dubai operation. These people run independently. Also, the chairman you are talking about has so much built his own wealth that I know how many times I borrowed GTS money. People, I hardly share this, but these are true. Right? Of course, they have to give me interest. You know, yes, now. Was okay. Wow. It's a loan now.
That's a good one, actually.
It's a loan. There's a difference between GTS and Stephen Akintaye.
Well, it's supposed to be like director's loan.
Whether you call director's loan, whatever title, what matters is there's a loan, and there has to be return and interest on the returns. But yeah, so there's a difference. We're not the same, and those are also part of the problem. Nigerians don't understand, because if they were in your shoes, everything is in one pot, right? No separation between you, the founder, and whatever. So in their mind, you see my point. Even last month, as early as last month, Dubai office still loaned Nigeria office money. So it's a different, everybody's running their business separately. So if you don't know that, you just say, "What the man is this?" But somebody complain about this. You are seeing that your shallow level of how things were. And that's why I was sharing when we were speaking earlier about how, difficult leadership can be, right? Because people won't see from how you see, and no matter what you do, in most cases, there will be some level of hurt in the process. For example, Nigeria needed to do away with subsidy as Nigeria was done for. Nigeria needed to float the naira as the country was in trouble. It was just not sustainable anymore. The country was bankrupt, actually. Right? So, should Tinubu have maybe communicated more? Should he also cut some of the excesses he had, insist all the legislator, everybody, adjust a few things? Maybe yes. Right? But if Peter Obi had become president, he would have still removed the subsidy day one. He will communicate better, right? But he will remove it. You will watch him not probably even sell presidential jet. I know Peter Obi can take those kind of drastic decisions where he can say, "Okay, I'm selling all the presidential jet. I'll be taking business class anywhere I'm going." Right? But yes, maybe those, but the pain, Nigerians will have still suffered pain. You see where I'm going now. So, and those are the challenges of leadership. Is no matter how you do, people, there will still be some pain, there will still be some struggles, and it's an evolving situation. But bottom line is that where we are is a function of the fact that we've been in business for many more years. Certain things are a lot easier. You've built relationship. You have leaders. You also have leaders you can trust to a level. They are committed. They've also watched you over the years. They know you are committed to their cause. They know you are somebody worth risking things around. They know you're also somebody that we share the glory too. Sometimes some business owners don't know why people don't want to take ownership. I won't take ownership if I know that everything is around you. If I know the day the camera are around, it's only you that want to talk. It's only you that want to shine. Right? At the event yesterday, now you didn't see me calling Farouk almost all the time. This is your thing. I may be here, but you are the MD. Right? Even when because I'm more famous, the reporters, it's me they want to interview. So when they were done, I said, "Where's Farouk?" That's the MD. I told you people, there's somebody who does day to day. right? I don't do day to day. I can be today in London, tomorrow in US. So let the person who does day to day also take in the shine. Let him talk to the reporters. Let his parents watch him on TV. Now they understand why he's having to leave home early, right? Committed to a cause, right? So these are things that business owners have to understand. That you have to. We had one of our leaders. She's been living with me for a while now, and we were doing Cameroon trip. She didn't go, all through last year, because each time my wife travel, she needs to stay with the kids. I mean, like 3 trips. This time around, I had to insist. I said, you are going to Dubai this time around, right? Whatever will happen to the kids will happen. You have to travel, right? Also make sure we pay 13 million for her to go to Lagos Business School for her MBA. Yeah. If you want to clap for it. Yeah, over 13 million actually. Not even 13, over 13 million for her MBA. So those are the things as a leader you begin to do. But again, there was a time we can't even afford that. So that's why I'm first giving that context, that some things I'm saying, it's also because it's taking us years. At the beginning, it was one-man business. Then you employ 2-3 people. Then you are even owing them. Then they go around calling you devil. Right? And all that phase, we went through all that. Right? We went through all that. But over time, it gets busier. Even here in London, we've been through a lot. Right? He knows. Open an office, paid. He was, I think, one of the first employees. After people tell you, come to London, open office. Rent was going.
Yeah, rent is quite expensive.
Yes, rent was going. And
business rate.
Yeah. And we were putting pressure. You need to do 3 inspections a day. But typical British born.
University.
Eh?
So I just finished from university.
No, we don't need you to defend yourself. Let's just, typical British born. In fact, at some point you accused me of abuse. Labor abuse, or what do they call it? What do they call it? Not even child abuse, because he was already 20. Employment something. So doctor, I think, the people, you can't be calling people 8 p.m. about their job. That's an abuse of some sort. So at some point, I shut down the office. Then we got, I think we got another guy. That one too went to divorce with his wife. Is he in the office? He's not in the office. It's one divorce matter or the other. Okay. At some point, let's bring somebody from Nigeria that has worked with us. Maybe he will do better. Now we have to pay his rent, accommodation, pay office, pay his salary. I will have to pay in pounds. It's not based here. Okay. 6 months gone. So okay, let's even come with a visa. We see how I perform, that we can then apply for normal work visa. 6 months gone, nothing was achieved. In fact, a month later, a lady was disturbing me on social media that impregnated her, that am I aware is homosexual or bisexual. It's not really. I said, but that's none of our business as a company. That's private. It's okay. Are you aware when you send him here to run your business? It was my house. In fact, okay. Are you also aware he's owing me money? And he says because you have not paid him salary, that's why he's not paid. So we don't owe you. When women want to finish you, there's nothing they will say. There's no. After we confronted with him, the issue with it, even as much as we didn't even do anything, no disciplinary action. The guy resigned month later because the embarrassment was just even too much for him. Okay, so but I'm just giving you an example of what we've been through so that you know that, you know, as a business owner, you know, and you're starting and experiencing this is normal. I think that's the first challenge we face as, because there are some things we experience at the beginning of the business that makes us feel we're bad leaders or we're bad entrepreneurs, or it was because you will now be comparing yourself that just started with a 17-year-old company. And I say, can't you see the peace of mind Dr. Steven has? See how he's traveling over. Can't I also have that kind of experience? No, your business has just started. And so you need to still go through those teething phase, challenging phase, you know, and those are still normal. I hope I've answered you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Anybody wants to ask more questions? Because I still have more questions.
I have more questions as well. I think the starting phase is something that I'm always sort of shy about. Like, in terms of not just starting business, but actually seeing through the starting phase. So, what are the tips you would give to someone, especially because I remember that time wasn't a pleasant time. It was a good, actually, to be honest, it was a good time because there was a lot of energy from you. You had vision, you had strategy. So there was like, I need to follow this guy. Like, so, but at the same time, there is, in terms of structure, there is, you know, you're running a business and you have this vision, you're excited, but people around you are not excited. People don't even believe in you. Like, Doctor's coming to start, and you have to work with that when people don't believe in your vision as well. And I genuinely believe, like, looking about it, if everyone's really believed in your vision and went through, it wouldn't have went through the ways it had went through as well. But of course, that's part of learning and development as well, because of 70 years, like I said. But how do you pass that stage where you know you have this vision, you're excited, but you know
nobody's believing in it.
No one's believing in it. No one. You're looking for people's approval as well.
I think that's the first thing you must overcome. I always argue that you have overcome poverty by 50% the day you no longer care about what people think. Right? You've overcome poverty, because part of what perpetuates poverty is this consciousness of what would they say, what would they think, what would they... Every entrepreneur is a scammer until they become big. In the eye of the general person looking at them.
True.
Let me say that again. Every entrepreneur is a scammer, right? In the eye of the person looking at them, you know, potential customers, friends, family, until they become big. So I share this story with you. A young gentleman used to be my best friend. You know, if I used to live in my house at some point on campus, and I used to come visit their house as well. After the death of my mom, I remember my best friend calling me to say his mom said we have to leave the house. That, you know, my being there, day to day are going through financial crisis, paying for my food, all of that. I remember begging him. I said, very soon I'll even get a job, or the businesses I'm doing will work. I will start contributing every month to the house. He said no. His mom said, I need to go. So I had to leave their house. Practically, I was kicked out. Right? Last week, guess who was reaching out to me? Right? The same best friend. Asking for business mentorship, asking for a loan for his business, and
Did you ask him to get permission from his mom?
I like that. That he needs to get permission from his mom.
Before you can do anything, because I need to know what the action.
I like that. You know, but you can imagine the guy abandoning me, right, at the beginning of my vision. Because, I mean, if he knew I was going to become this big, you think he will abandon me? Even if the mom said, I said, mommy, except you want the two of us to leave this house. My friend is going places, and it will be good for me to play a role in his life, because when he arrives there, I may still need his help too. Right? So, but the reason why he couldn't fight for me with his parents was because he didn't believe it was going to work. So if you and I are waiting for who will validate our vision, we're not serious, really. You're not ready. Because nobody is going to validate your vision. No. Instead of validating, they will put you in a pit. Then they will sell you as a slave. Then they will send you to prison like Joseph. Yeah. So, because they're not going to believe. But guess what? Once you become the prime minister, they will still come and beg you. I say, we are your siblings. They can't kill us. We cannot die. Help us. You know, remember daddy and mommy are still back at home. You know, so it's always the story of every great entrepreneur. That's why at the end of the day, every great entrepreneur deserves all the good things coming their way.
Yeah, true.
They deserve it. If you hate them, that's your own business. But they really deserve it because they've also been through a whole lot, right, to get to where they are. So if you then hate them and say, is he the only one? He's traveling today. He's operating in this country tomorrow. Everything seems to be going well for him. You know, that's witchcraft, because you were not there when he paid all the price. You know, I have a quote that says, you know, people always say they should investigate your wealth, right? Did anybody investigated your poverty? Right? When you were poor, did anybody say, look, we need to investigate why it's poor? Suddenly when you are rich, everybody say, you know, investigating where is the source of the money. Did anybody say they should investigate the source of your poverty? Right? So when the results start coming, the lazy ones begin to feel you don't deserve those things, that those things are not fair. But hey, the same thing even relationship. I have some great relationship, and you see people literally talk in a way like, what? Why is Dr. Cosmos so close to him? Right? Why is this person so? Why did Obasanjo, you know, invite him in his jet and flew with him? You know, why? But when I started building my relationship with Obasanjo, when I started building my relationship with Cosmos Maduka, when I started building my relationship with all these people, you were not there. The sacrifices, you have no idea. Right? But you then envy the result part. And even the sacrifice I'm still making now that is not open to you, because I'm not making it public. I'm not making it public. So you still don't even understand the current sacrifices I'm still making. So I didn't talk about it. So in your mind, it's just lucky. You have no idea. Until I mentioned 3 weeks ago on AIT, did anybody know that we have had our major account frozen for a year and it affected our liquidity? No. Right.
Oh yeah.
Right? So when you go through, and that's what I learned about life and business, and I encourage many of us to pick that culture. It's not wisdom to publicly tell people about what you're going through, because they don't really care that much. In fact, what it does, it frustrates more people from wanting to help you. So if you are going to tell your problem to anybody, let it be people who really can help you. Your real mentors. But to come out publicly, you see my point now. If, for example, I'd come out there and say, we're having a problem. Somebody went to lie. Somebody froze our account. They say, what did you two do? Why did they freeze your account? Where is the clinical? Right? Now it's easy to say because it went to court and we won in court. You see now, our victory in court is now an evidence. You can now say, this happened, and we won. Okay, but to go and be saying all of that, you see, we have always known something is shady. Something shady in his dealings. So you have no business with people's opinion. They will always talk. It's their opinion, they're entitled to it. Face your work. Because the same people talking, when you then work, they will come and celebrate you. Like I said, my friend had to be said, you know, at this point now, we can't but call you a global entrepreneur. You know, we started singing my praises.
I'm just curious about how long that it has taken him to come to you.
Well,
What's the
this
second
this
year?
happened. No, this happened. This happened. I was kicked out. I was kicked out of the house. If I remember, I wasn't even married then. So I'm talking as way back as maybe 2010. That's 15 years ago, if I'm correct. Right. So I think this happened 15 years ago. Right. So yeah, I think this happened 15 years ago. I wasn't even married then. And I didn't take it personal with him actually, even then. But at least I knew the vision will speak one day. Right. I didn't take it personal. So I think it was 2010. But even aside that, for you to show how funny this is, I was still at his wedding. I think last time my son was at his own wedding. And that was maybe 7 years ago. Right. Because what you need to know is that even as at 7 years ago, you can't see me and really say, you just know he is an entrepreneur, but you will still see the struggle. Right? Even 7 years ago, you still see the struggle. You still see that this thing is not yet balancing well. Yeah, I had the office, I had the employees, but you will still know that this guy is struggling. So that's how I said it was 7 years ago.
So how did you overcome the struggles, different struggles that you were going through at the
That
time?
one is, we will not live here because that is. I would just say, where did the breakthrough happen? It was COVID. COVID was our breakthrough. That's why a lot of people know us today will tell you that it was COVID. COVID was our breakthrough. Because COVID created a little gap for a small company to also compete with the big boys. In life, it's almost like a 7-year circle. There will always be a time something will happen. And usually, everybody will say it's a crisis, everybody will say it's but if you are smart and you've been well trained and mentored, it's an opportunity to catch up. Right? So for us, COVID happened. Most big real estate companies said, well, we're shutting down. We'll resume back in December. And years ago, I've studied that similar thing happened called SARS in China. So while reading the story of, I study biographies of great people. I study biographies a lot. And I encourage you to study biographies. Right? Because you won't even know whether you're right or wrong until you read people's biographies. So what encouraged me, even in our tough time, I've read biography of John D. Rockefeller, how things were so bad at some point. John D. Rockefeller was about to go bankrupt. In fact, it was the wife that bailed him because when the business was running, the wife was saving some small money here and there, right? So in the heat of it, the wife had to bring all that money and say, I've been saving some money here and there from the business we were doing. And that's what, of course, he was angry, arrogant about the whole, why would you do that? But that money was not even building. They were one day from shutting down, right? So reading biographies of people like that just had encouraged you in our tough times. And that's my encouragement to all of you. Read biographies because you now see patterns. You now say, okay, I'm not wrong. Everybody else will tell you are wrong, including your employees, including, and they will say with all manner of confidence, tell you, just like the one here now, and tomorrow the same them will still come and ask you for the same advice. After insulting you, that they are not sure you know what you are doing. but free speech. But this case, I studied Jack Ma. Watch even how on national television they were saying, but you guys .com bubble is believed to be a scam. People are just scamming people. Tell us, have you been profitable? He said no. Say, so what are you saying? People are saying you guys, all this tech, he said, and so he then have the SARS in China, where they had to shut down China. So this COVID didn't just start. That's why when Trump was saying China virus, everybody was angry with him, but he wasn't lying. because they are the ones that have had those type of virus where you have to shut down. Even the whole shutting down was a template picked from what the Chinese used to do. So they've had SARS before where they shut down for over 4 months. He then said when that happened, because he was trying to explain how he took over from eBay, because at that time eBay was bigger and he was an indigenous Chinese e-commerce and all of that. So during that shutdown, he took about 400 of his staff and said they won't go home. That if anything happened, it should be held accountable. That they should code a strategy that will help them to defeat eBay in China. So while eBay too shut down, everybody shut down, he was behind the scene coding a new software. So by the time the lockdown was over, launched the new one, they took eBay out of the market as number one. And that's what now became the story of Alibaba, today. So when I have learned that before there was ever COVID, when COVID came, I said, this is my own takeover, Jack Ma move. But Jack Ma move is here. So during the Nigerian shutdown, lockdown, all of that, too, I kept few of my staff. And thank God my house is always a stone throw to my office. I can track it. So you say there's lockdown. I was able to trek to work, got my staff to also live in the office, and then we started structuring how everybody has shut down till December. This is March. If we figure it out and we go aggressive, right, we'll be the only visible brand, right? And the little money we spend, it will be magnified as if, we have spent so much. So a company that has never done any adverts before, not even in Galaxy television, we started doing TV. I borrowed the company. So unfortunately, during lockdown, I made more money than the company. In the sense that people were now buying coaching courses. Remember, everybody was at home now. So people were thinking, okay, entrepreneurship. So all my courses, my coaching, people were buying. I became so rich that during lockdown, I think I was doing grants. I was giving grants. Yes, I was just giving grants because my courses were just selling. Yes. So post lockdown, I borrowed the company money, went to do CNN adverts, signed up a brand ambassador. This is when all my bigger colleagues have shut down. Right. So 3 weeks also after they lifted, we're everywhere doing inspection on site. I remember where I started doing virtual inspection that others were not doing, but most people tell me, no, until we come to Nigeria before we buy from you. We don't believe in just your internet. Now there's now lockdown. They couldn't travel even after they lifted the Nigerian ban. Remember, most countries, there was all that you can't travel, So, and many people were now working from home. They were making more money. They were not going to party. A lot of even all the excesses that were taking their money away wasn't there. So people were piling up money, not even knowing what to do. Remember, most governments were also not giving loan. So people were like, hey, I need to invest. So we became the only one they are seeing. We grew more than 500% that year, 2020. And since that time was when we now broke out to become one of the most visible companies in the real estate sector. Meanwhile, we've been there 5 years prior in that same real estate sector. It was just, crawling and crawling, yeah.
I have a question. What's the sort of vision and strategy ahead? Because if you talk about your company, some of us, we don't really look at other competitors. GTEX is all we know as well. And I think you spoke about 2030 vision one time. I think you spoke about it one time. But what's the vision ahead? What's the strategy ahead? What are you looking forward to? What are you trying to achieve? Yeah.
I can't say everything.
Okay, not everything.
But what we're looking ahead, we've mentioned it. The goal is to be the largest green and smart home developer in the world. It's a global vision. It's not a local vision. But your expansion is always limited to the quality of people available. right?
Valuable working with you.
Yes, yes, it's always, you can't rise above the quality. And like I said, at some point you have to endure it because you have to also prove yourself, prove the vision.
Yeah.
People have to see you so hungry with your vision, right? A lot of them will even join you. It's your fire they will catch.
True.
Right? It's your fire they will catch. If I were, for example, what they went through was only because I wasn't in the UK, right? Which is what we then had to do in the US. I mean, in Dubai, where I practically moved to Dubai for 3 years to run it, and that's even what I'm doing in the US as well, where I just move down, work with the team, right? They can see my temperature, can see my dedication, they can see my fire, and then begin to pick up that vibe. One or two will pick up the spirit, and at some point you can pull back, they will run it. But there's that season of intensity with the founder. But for us, it's a global vision, and we're not even joking about it. It's a global vision, and we're moving.
We are not joking.
Yeah, it's not joke. It's no joke.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, in terms of entrepreneurship, how do you be confident to be yourself as well? Because even the fire and all that stuff. Because for me, I genuinely believe I have it, but it's this people pleasing thing. And number two, I always believe whoever you are, you have to be the greater version of it. You have to be the best version of yourself. So there's some things part of you that are not good. And as a leader, you don't want people to. You want people to follow you, but you don't want them to.
Learn about things.
Yeah. So how do you get that confidence as well? Because I remember one time I told you. One time I was in the office. I think a lady there. She just recognized me a lot, and she just sort of addressed me. She's like, because I used to laugh sometimes. She was not. She doesn't speak English. She just came here. She was like, she just saw that I was laughing all the time, and she addressed it because business is not funny. But at the same time, there is that side of seriousness in me. But as well, you don't want to offend people as well. So how do you get the balance? How can you get that confidence to just be yourself when it's not, people won't like you? Yeah.
Well, I think it's about studying temperament. So there's a book I advise you to read. It's called Why You Act the Way You Do by Tim LaHaye. TimLahaya. Tim LaHaye, Why You Act the Way You Do. So your personal, you are that way because of your personality type, right? You have a bit of phlegmatic in you. So when you read it, and there's also a book of Spirit Control Temperament. I think it's by the same author. So the first one is just to help you understand why you.
Tim LaHaye.
LaHaye. LaHaye. YA. Yeah. So the first book, Why You Are Doing You Do, is to just help you understand why you're even acting that way.
That's good.
The second book is now to say the Holy Spirit can help you be a better version of that that exists. Right. So those two books I think will help you overcome it. Because you could be like that. I mean, I used to, again, my personality type is melancholy choleric, but my melancholy is stronger than choleric. So at some point, my male, which involved trying to be nice and you don't was very dominant. But I haven't trained myself, read those books. I also realized that won't solve. I can't please everybody. I can't live my life, even my office. Some of our highest paying staff, when they joined us 5 years ago, they were a telemarketing staff, 45,000 naira salary. 6 months down the line, say, all of you from today, you are now sales. The ones that cried. The ones that went to report me, I said, you are now sales from now. You're right. Now, their salary has more than increased by multiple for more than 10 times. Average of them now earns ₦1 million every month from 45,000 naira 5 years ago. So when they were complaining and reporting me to be a wicked boss who employed them for a different role and suddenly told them to now upgrade to a new role, did I not know they will become richer? Be given cars. I knew the end. And that's who God is. It's not that we're trying to manipulate God. God, give me this. God, give me that. God is like, this struggle you are facing will make you a better person. I know it. And I'm not going to give you a shortcut.
God is funny. God is funny.
Yes. And I'm not going to give you a shortcut. Right? Because I know this struggle will bring out a better version. I've looked at some of the things I went through, losing my mother to ovarian cancer, struggling to pay school fees, losing my businesses, my father-in-law telling me I'm not responsible enough to marry his daughter. I've looked at all that, and I can tell you categorically that, looking back now, I'm saying without those things I won't be here, because those things pushed me. Those things, I converted those pain to fuel to keep me running, and unfortunately I'm now addicted to it, so that's why you see me keep running, right? Because in those things became what was chasing me. And I'm saying, no, this can't be what will be the definition of my life. Do you see now? Where everybody just doesn't like you. Everybody wants to talk to Steve. Like, everybody admire this version of me. Even me, I am surprised, because I used to be that guy you don't want to be a friend of. There's nothing to the guy. There's nothing to Steven. Nothing. Right? There's nothing, there are some people, maybe it's their courage, some people maybe it's their courage. So even the dressing is recently we now started dressing in Agbada that gives you that feel. Dressing, I know if you dress. Eloquence, I don't have. Confidence, I don't have. Right?
You have that in abundance now.
Too much confidence, which is good.
The thing about confidence sometimes, though, is that no matter how so uncomfortable, so shy, sometimes when you prove a point, when you manifest,
Thank you.
when you have results,
Thank you.
people,
Confidence is automatic. Do you see now? So the confidence came, he got it perfectly right. After I said I was going to do this business, everybody said it won't work. Then I did it, then the results started coming. And then I see the same people laughing. So I said, it makes sense, so congrats. Yeah. You see, suddenly, so this is how human beings are. So today now, I'm no longer moved by reaction, because I know that reaction is temporary. I've done so many things where everybody say this one is the final straw that breaks the camel's back. You are not going to recover from this. Then you will not just recover, you so succeed. The same people say you will recover, come back, swallow their pride. Our oldest consultant was still sharing this recently at his own conference with entrepreneurs, where I came out with a policy that I want to expose my staff, because what happened was I would be the one to travel. I had a global perspective to business, and I saw our business being global, but my staff have never even traveled out of the country. So I said I'm going to start send the first person on all expense paid through to Dubai. The person resigned. Yes, after he returned back.
Okay.
Right, because by the time he returned back, he became arrogant. He's the only one that have traveled. Others have not. Others have not. So when they give him query, if somebody just tenders resignation, what's the meaning of that? They hold me. Right. Then I said, well, men are not always loyal. Let's get women. The second year, we sent a lady. She said she's going for a master's in the UK. She's based here now. I left. The third year, I sent 50 people at different intervals to Dubai and Maldives. Most of them stayed now. But while I was making those moves, our consultant got so pissed off. This is a waste. This is a waste. Stephen will not listen to me. I, as a professional, have reviewed this thing. You know, when consultant, and our consultant, if he speak Oyibo, you know, right, and he has all this Japanese language, breaking the things down, Pokayoka, you know, give you all manner of analysis. I'm sure you've kept people outside for 30 minutes, John, Jordan. Hey, Jordan. Right. So,
the church services, meetings.
But they will meet the grace. So, my friend Pokayoka, you know, plenty grammar, plenty analysis as to what we work or not work. At his own event, he was saying recently, he said, this is one of those things that I'm happy that I was not right. Dr. Stephen was right. Because by exposing his staff, he turned the company around. He turned the company around. When you see our leaders, very young people, but their audacity is unique. Young. Many of our MDs are in their 30s, but extremely confident because of the exposure they've got. Right? And I won't have this peace of mind if they didn't have the exposure. Everything will still be on me. Because I'll be the only one seeing what I'm seeing. They won't have seen it. And so they won't run with it. As I'm here speaking to you now, we have a group of about 5 employees on their way to Dubai. Right? 4 of them have never traveled, you know. Yeah. Right. All expense paid trip. Not only are they traveling to Dubai, they are going for an event with Mr. Ushika. Governor's wife are there. Ministers are there. Top successful entrepreneurs. You know the bonus that gives you to be in a room where, first of all, average of them is $5,000 plus that it cost us. So you can imagine the kind of people who can afford to pay $5,000 to go to listen to something. And then your staff are there. Also, rubbing mind and shoulder with those caliber. There's no way your confidence will not start growing. But that same decision, when we started it, my consultant said it's a waste of money. And our head is not correct. So, my point is that a lot of what you will need to do to really turn things around are things that people who are close to you will tell you wrong. It's not right. It's not, you know. And if you don't see your own vision and pursue your vision and run with it, no matter who doesn't see it, you will never come to the other end of the road where the same people who say you will not succeed will come back and say, of course, some will rationalize it, some will say it's the Holy Spirit. Some will tell you there's a unique kind of faith. Some will tell you there's a different type of grace. I mean, human beings will always find a way to rationalize, you know, to give, you know, because at the beginning they will hate you for it. They will say you go to hell. Then when you succeed, they need to find a mysterious force that is behind you alone, that is not behind them. Indirectly saying God is partial. Right? And that God decided to only like you and did not like them. Right? And after a while of them saying over and over again, you just keep quiet and accept the analysis. Because that's my experience today. Each time I go anywhere, I say it's a different type of grace. Dr. Stephen, you don't understand. God is, I say, hey. But the God, me, I know. If you do believe what I believe, do what I do, that God is more than excited to even give you more result than I have gotten. But it's ultimately our decisions, what eventually become the outcome of our lives.
I remembered, I'm sorry.
No, carry.
Yeah. The man that was invited yesterday, what's his name?
Dr. Matuta.
His friend, 21st first,
yes,
21st
century
technology.
technology.
Yes. He said something about that. When Saul was lost looking for,
Yes.
as soon as he said it, because sometimes those people that just give up like that, because it could be that they were lost. They have not discovered themselves.
Yeah,
They just
we're
want
not
to do
denying
the
that.
business. They just want to copy entrepreneurship. Okay, but actually they were still lost. Even though they are saying, "Oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a CEO of so." They are still lost. They've not really discovered their purpose. That's why they see Dr. Steven. They are not achieving the same thing. Even though they want to do, instead of they should just sort of find themselves. They should not compare themselves with you.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You first of all, you can't compare yourself. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
We're finally meeting after many years. This is miracle. Good to see you. Welcome. How long have you been waiting? Not too long. That's, okay. Well, if you had waited long, it's punishment for being late. We're practically rounding up. So I think even if truly they are lost or whatever, it doesn't matter. You are the one that need to focus on yourself. My concern is that people don't know what they are doing, and then you are unwise to be listening to people who are not even sure of themselves. Right? You owe yourself to focus on your dreams. Because the people distracting you don't really know what they are doing.
Exactly.
They really don't know. They sound like they do. Their analysis sounds like, like a strategy. You can say, can't, this guy know that he shouldn't start a business? Can't this person know that he shouldn't work for a company that doesn't have a name? You see my point now, you should work. I remember the story of Alibaba. Alibaba is now the person who now runs Alibaba, because Jack Ma has kind of resigned in a way, or not resigned, but is at the back end now of Alibaba. But the guy was sharing how when Alibaba told him to come and work for him, he had to take lesser salary from where he was coming from. Right? And he was in Singapore, what's this other country bordering China? Hong Kong. So he's in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, first of all, is even like the UK of China, It's more liberal. It's not as rigid as mainland China. I mean, everything was just, and then you leave, to a small company. The company is also small. But today, that guy runs the entire of Alibaba. I mean, run the entire thing. But my point is, imagine people would have told him, are you okay?
That's true.
Right? Are you okay? Something must be wrong with you. But in reality, today now, who is something wrong with? Right? It's those people. So, but unfortunately, like I said, we are always in that position where we listen more to these people than ourselves, than the deep inner voice that is telling you that you may not be able to have this figured out, but this is the right move.
Okay.
Right? You may not be, there's that inner deep voice that just saying, I may not get it all, but this is the right direction. I don't know if you have been there.
Yeah.
You can't explain it in a logical way to people, but there's something deep on your inside telling you that's the right direction to move. And so is that at the end of the day, those who obey that inner voice, now change their circle of friendship to those who will push them. For example, if I didn't have people like Dr. Cosmos, I would not do our US expansion, because I have never attempted to raise $200 million in my life before. So, as much as I felt it was the right decision, I just didn't have the courage to proceed. But I surrounded myself with the right people. That when I told them about it, I told them about my fears. They said, look, Stephen, whatever it will take, just go this route. This is the right route. Okay? Whatever it is, you're on the right course. Now imagine my friends are miserable, low life, not even sure of themselves. They've not even built a $1 million business. I'm now telling them I want to do 200 million. What would they be telling me? You see, you are too ambitious. I always tell you. You like to try and attempt what your hand can reach. Is that not what they'll be telling you?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. We finished the launch of that place yesterday. And the founder of 21st Century took me to his place. And I was speechless. And when we finished touring this man's facility, I knew I just started business. The only thing for me was that, is this in Nigeria? You know, we underrate Nigeria. To realize that if this man's office, this particular place he took me to, if their lights blink, all the Nigerian card will not work. ATM card. If the light blink, because they provide the infrastructure for all payments. All telecos use them. One man.
So that leads me to the question then. You've been to the UK, you've been to the US, you see how the diasporans live their life.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice, investment advice, for the diasporans to, well, call it change level, call it move forward, to leave the low life behind? Because
Comfort zone.
when you look at it, a lot of us are comfortable, the light is working, you know, the road is good, you know, we get from A to B, you know, even if we don't own a car, we're not struggling at all. So that kind of comfortable life keeps us without big vision, because we don't think there's anything better than we really want. And I say this because I was speaking to somebody who was really 60, you know, late 60s, wants to leave Nigeria to the US. And I said, what are you going to go and do in the US? So I can't be bothered anyway, just go. And I'm saying, well, are you going to now start all over again to kind of be experiencing the kind of life that I know? Well, maybe you live in Buckingham, but I'm not even in Buckingham. Like, you know, we do have here.
Jordan, let me pick
You know, I do feel that
Yeah.
a lot of us, we could do more, we could be more, but we're not. And it's because of this,
Don't worry.
you know, comfortable life that we're living. You know, we have food on our table, we have a roof over our head, and we're comfortable, but we're not pushing further. So what advice will you give us to step up into that kind of place that we need to be? And if we can connect that answer to Nigeria and Nigerian investment, because like I was saying, some people are trying to run out of Japada.
Yeah.
The Japa and the Japada.
Yeah, I mean, there's a new Japa and Japada going on now, where some people want to leave Nigeria and some people can't wait to go back to Nigeria. But let me start with the story. My guest that came for the naming of Dr. Cosmos Maduka's street in our estate yesterday. The man was sharing with me how he had the idea 27 years ago to start doing the fiber optic cable for Nigeria and providing the infrastructure for telecommunication, everything, data centers, And he had the idea. Hear this, so this will excite you. He had the idea, did a presentation, proposal, came to Nigeria, because I'm sure he didn't grow up here in Nigeria, but was ready to move to Nigeria. He saw himself like the Elon Musk, of Nigeria. He was the Elon Musk, and he was going to make all those changes. And then he went to meet some of the bank MDs. None of them was going to attend to him. The worst one was, I won't mention the bank MD's name. The bank MD even told him to come to his house. He got to the man's house, tried to explain. The man looked at him head to toe, walked away. When he was asking the staff, so when we Oga see me, say, Oga has gone to sleep, Oga be going. It was that level of arrogance.
Wow.
Guess what? The entire bank infrastructure of that same bank is the one that handles. Right. It's after everybody, just rubbish him, he came back to the UK, emptied his account, every account, took everything. I went to start. In 18 months, not only did he make the money back, he made profit. 18 months. Right? In 18 months. Hey. Who are this?
No, we're in the middle of training.
Who are this?
We've been downstairs for a while.
How long is the while?
Maybe about 10 minutes.
That's a while.
Yeah, it was a while, because they were saying, no, they're sorry, they don't know.
My sister doesn't look like me. I keep to time, my sister doesn't keep to time.
Yes. Today's Sunday, I was in church. I was in church.
Grandma, why is my sister not looking like me? I keep to time, she doesn't keep to
I
time.
don't keep the time, I was in church. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God, to see Today's Sunday. Hi, Jordan. It's been a long time. How are you?
But I like this, your dress, it looks like Spider-Man or flying somewhere. Like a cape. Okay, so let's continue. Where did I stop?
He said 18 months he made the money back.
18 months of emptying his account in the UK to start the fiber business. He made all his money back. The bank MD that looked down on him is his client and pays him heavily today. Heavily. He says in my time he sees him, he's always mentioning how he regrets that decision. Right? And today, let me just go into details of what the man controls. Right? He can never achieve such anywhere else. Never. Not only is his business making him money, it's a business that when you're in a business where your client worship you. I don't know where you can. Because data center, every data of the company, if every data of all these big multinationals are warehoused in this man's company. Every. Right? When Anthony Blinken came, right, where he worked was his office. You know what I mean? And that's the representative of the president. That's number 3 in the hierarchy of US president. In fact, the entire street was cordoned. You had CIA, FBI, everybody. When Blinken was in Lagos. But this was a man in diaspora who saw that Nigeria had opportunities that he can be the solution to 27 years ago. Tried to get the institutions to invest, they refused. Decided to use his money. And today, he's sitting on billions of dollars for it. So, that's the answer to those in diaspora. If you're really serious about entrepreneurship, then you have to come back to Nigeria. If you're serious about it. Right? Because that's where the problem is. The whole concept of entrepreneurship is solve problems. That's what it means. Now, how do you solve problems where there are less problems? You see my point now? Okay, 27 years ago, you know, did they need fiber optic in the UK?
They had one already.
They had one already. You see where I'm going now? Okay, maybe they... Exactly, you see my point. So, you are in a country where, and that's why people struggle here, because you're in a country where it's developed. The man showed me a particular transmission engine in their place that is just powering their data center, and that machine, the entire Nigerian electricity company does not have it. If I said this one machine can power the entire Lekki.
Wow.
Private owned company, right? So the opportunity, you see my point now. The problem still is in Nigeria. It's not here, right? So when you start business here, there's a limit. I start business, food business. There's a limit, right? I start this. There's a limit. It just limits you because there's no enough problem to solve. But when you come to Nigeria, there's enough. We just commissioned 800-meter road that we use our money to do and name it after Dr. Cosmos. Okay, tell me which 800-meter road you will do in UK. Right? So, but by doing that, it constantly positions you to build wealth more, to expand more. So that would be my answer to you. The opportunity, even in the medical, I mean, you have been a doctor for 32 years, I mean, being here. You go back to Nigeria, there's so many needs in the area of medicine that they still need you. Right? Here, you're just one of those many.
My Nigerian friends were fighting me. You don't come and tell us that it's your job.
You know, so, but the point is, for you to then do all these things I'm telling you, you either have to become mad. Only mad people succeed in business. And the meaning of madness is that you are so obsessed about what you are seeing that you're not listening to anybody else. Right? Because people will be telling you otherwise. Everybody else will be saying, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Right? So you have to be mad enough to say, I'll do it, I'll do it. I mean, you heard what Dr. Cosmos 2 was saying. Yes, somebody say you don't have to do that because their government is responsible. Yes, but you see, it's the irresponsibility of the government, right, that creates opportunity for entrepreneurs. How many of us know that it wasn't government that did the rail system in America? The same way he's talking about now. It was the private sector that did the American rail. Right? Consolidated by Andrew Carnegie. Okay, so a lot of the infrastructure we keep talking about is the private sector. He's talking and he doesn't even know that even the best train in this UK, I mean, we take train now. Is it government owned or private? Particularly when you are doing interstate, do we call it now? Intercity, right? Chebi, you have the normal government intercity train and you see the coach. Then you do the Virgin. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. That's the one that has free Wi-Fi. You see my point? Even in countries like this, it's still the private sectors. I so hate British Airways. I don't know whether I'm the only one.
Yeah, no, not
What happened?
Right? Okay, maybe
That's
it's
why Virgin he had a problem with British Airways.
yes. But you go, fly through Virgin and see the quality of service.
Yeah.
Right? The British Airways, they've lost my luggage many times. There's so many things but you could see that it's still working like a government parastatal. So even in developed world, you realize that you still can't see the NHS now. It's broken. It's let's be honest, it's broken. It's so bad now that I'm seeing Nigerians come do IVF in Lagos who are based here in the UK. I still met a woman the other day. She had to come to Lagos to do IVF. Right? After the baby grew for 3 months, she now returned back to the UK and said, yeah, when did UK health system? Okay? And the only problem is because government is still trying to have a grip on that health system. Right? Yeah, because government is trying to have a grip on it. If you let it go.
I was telling my husband yesterday, I called the GP, I called the GP and from 8 o'clock for an appointment on the day. And 15 minutes past 8, I was still on the phone. And when they finally picked the call, and they said, so sorry, we don't have any appointment again for today. Then I got thinking, I said, okay, what am I? So I called my husband, I said, I'm really tired of this country now.
Yeah.
I'm so tired that you called and you 15 minutes on
Yeah.
the phone and there's no appointment. Then my son, as I was just grumbling about that, a text came in, another call came in and said, oh, are you Joseph's mom? I said, I am. Oh, okay. Can Joseph come in on Monday to have the appointment? I said, what appointment? It says scan. It's a year ago. It's a year ago that we booked that thing. The thing was, now the boy does not even have it anymore. He doesn't have that. So I said, okay. And I said, I think I'm getting there's something that God is telling me here.
That you should come to Nigeria.
So I said, now I think I need to start thinking about my life.
No, it is. I tell people, I said, the exposure you've gotten here, if you can just have the grit, you will do well back at home. Because you already now have the exposure. You now understand the place of excellence, which a lot of people back at home will not really relate to. You understand the place of process, which you know. So leveraging on that exposure, right, and putting it back in Nigeria is what we do in Nigeria. I've argued that Nigeria's transformation is in the hands of Nigerians in diaspora. Yes, you are the Moses that will come back to Egypt and deliver.
That's what they did in Singapore
And China.
Quote me anywhere.
China.
And India is doing the same. It's those who have gotten exposure that will need to come back and say, this has to be done properly. Right? And it's sector by sector. You take on your sector. Like I said, I'm looking at this man 27 years later, and I can't tell me. Okay, let's hear. Do you agree with me that if this same man did everything he did in Nigeria, in America, or in the UK, he will still not get the honor of the Secretary of State working from it? It's so that Nigerian government had to be jealous of what is it with this guy? Why will a whole US government spend more time in a private guy's place, do meetings, host meetings, discuss with everybody, than the Nigerian government? Government is even looking at him. Something was going on here. Right? What's going on here? But even if the same guy put the same facility in the UK, he won't get that kind of honor. In the US, because he will now be competing with, okay, you never send, how many?
Well, we send it to space.
Exactly.
He probably won't get the opportunity.
Exactly.
Never mind.
So it will just, the queue long as to the creativity and people who have gone ahead of him. Right? Can he compete with Jeff Bezos or... But the way things are going now, he is the one they are telling Elon Musk, you won't do anything in Nigeria, that's the guy to talk to. Jeff Bezos, that's the guy to talk to. So he's so uniquely positioned, and that's the way we in diaspora has to start seeing things. The second version of the argument is that those who are now in Nigeria, who are now doing well, also have to do the same thing. of coming out of Nigeria and proving their ideas beyond the shores of Nigeria. And why that is important is because your idea may only be working in Nigeria because the place is dysfunctional. So you also now have to figure out a way to break into a place that is functioning and prove yourself. You see the reverse engineering that needs to take place. So that what then happens is that the systems you then see in those, the frustration, of course, you will not be frustrated trying to expand international. I mean, I'm here now to get permits on my 99 acres. I'm realizing it will take me 2 years. Suddenly, I'm beginning to appreciate Nigeria better.
It will take 102 years, actually.
Because I don't care if it's 2,000 acres or if 100,000 acres I wanted to do in Nigeria, I won't need to wait 2 years to get permit. And it's not because somebody is frustrating it, it's just that the processes from one step to one step to the other step to the other step to the other step. Right? Am I making sense at all? So you see how we need to crossbreed this whole thing. Those who have had international exposure, live in diaspora, need to come back home and try to standardize a sector as so that people will come and say, are we? Because that's what happened when I went there. Am I still in Nigeria? That's all I kept. Am I still in Nigeria? You mean a data center like this exists in Nigeria? You mean Visa, MasterCard is relying on this guy. Oracle is relying on this guy. Right? I'm like, okay. You see my point now. So that's what needs to happen. And that's why for me, I'm doing the reverse. Okay? I'm growing in Nigeria. I'm growing outside of Nigeria. Because that's also a unique marketing for the Nigerian brand. To say, well,
do we transport ourselves, or how do we facilitate that? What's the process of that, Japada, if you like?
Well,
in a way that will be effective.
The process.
There are some Japadas that go on and then
the process.
After 6 months.
Very good question. Good question. The process of Japada that you must do is a Japada with a partnership. You must look for a local person to partner with. And not just any local person, a local person who has had international exposure, right, that you then partner with. That's the way it's done. So, for example, visiting that data center, that fiber, everything the man was doing, guess what? That was why I went into real estate. I was a tech guy, went to Silicon Valley, saw that same thing, came back to Nigeria, but I didn't have the huge funds. So I said, you know, I'll start buying land. We'll sell some of the land, raise some money. But here's the man who has already achieved what I'm trying to do. So I just told him yesterday, I said, you know, let's partner. Because I now have plenty land. You have now perfected building a tech campus. You see my point now. So let's build the largest. I said, let's do the largest tech campus in Africa. He looked at me and said, why not the whole world? I said,
You're still thinking small.
but you see my point now. I said, let's do the largest tech campus in Africa. I said, why not the whole world? I said, you see, these are people.
I want to see.
These are people. You and I know that with certain people, they will say, no, why start Africa? Let's start the largest in Lagos. We do the largest in Lagos. So
you know you're in the right.
I knew right there I was the right environment. And that's also the kind of signal you need to be looking for. People that just, they fan your fire. Right? They fan your fire. And leave the ones who are not fanning it. Leave them alone. Look for those who will fan it. You are saying, let's do 100 meters. Say, which 100 meter? How about 100 kilometers? Say, let's go. And I'm ready to go with you. Those are, so look for a partner. a partner who has exposure, right? The word I use is build your family. You know, one thing many of us are not doing is we are not building our family. We claim we have certain values, right? But we're not paying the price to build a family of like values. Am I making sense? Because great, you can't achieve anything great alone.
You can call it build your tribe.
Build your tribe. Yeah, you can't. And that will even take me to what part of why I put this event together. Because we started something called the Global Wealth Festival. And it's to take care of this same thing. Is to start an entrepreneurship revolution among those in diaspora to say, either you go back home and do entrepreneurship or start the entrepreneurship here. And let's work together to push ourselves till we succeed. Because those who are doing don't have two heads. Right? Of course, I did the first version 2 years ago. It was a huge loss financially for me. I had to drink water on it. Those involved did not know that event was over £100,000. The last global, that we spent on that event. I like the way you breathe. So I knew, I need to drink water on that. The last one we did in the US, right, cost over 200,000. Media alone was $100,000, right? So, but we're bringing it back this July. I think Mr. Oshika has confirmed. I think Dr. Cosmos too. So it's to do it bigger again. But this time around, people have to pay. So my decision is to say, let me hold a meeting of free meetings like this so that we know, again, a little mini tribe that see the big picture and say, me alone, 20 people must pay for that conference through me. And I will drag them. Right? We must make it work. Because if we keep doing things in isolation, and it's the reality I'm realizing, that even me, I can't achieve what I see alone. Am I making sense? And it can't be done alone. And that's why I'm a bit more tolerant, Sometimes people say, oh, this guy is controversial, we see you with him. That one is this. I need everybody. I don't even have the luxury of enemies the way I am. Because I have an image has played in my head of Stephen Akintayo at 120. And I'm called to be honored at an event. And then what my life had stood for is now being said. And some of the things I'm hearing in my head is that, welcome the father of entrepreneurship among people of color. This man paid the price to push all of us into entrepreneurship. And today, we're counting millions of businesses that are worth millions of dollars and some billions of dollars and are owned by Nigerians. And some of these businesses have offices all over the world. But a man was the catalyst to that. So today now in UK, we can say 15% of the big businesses in UK are owned by Nigerians. That's what I see at the age of 120. Right? 20% of the businesses in the US are owned by Nigerians. Big businesses. Right? Companies. That's what I see. So seeing that picture, I can't do it alone. I have to bring everybody together. And it will cost money as well. Right? Else, even me, I won't be able to sustain it. Right? I won't. There's a limit to what I can do. So I'm doing a conference in Nigeria. It's called the Business Growth Conference. It's going to be the biggest. We're doing 20 billboards. But we're charging for it. Because I won't sustain this thing if you don't charge. We can't sustain it. Right? So the equivalent is the one we'll do in the UK as well. And I'm counting on all of us here to start the campaign. Because we still spend £500 on things that don't add value. Right? That is still not adding to us. But when it comes to, let's come and be inspired. Let's sit down and learn. Let's build a community amongst ourselves. Let's come together. Let's start doing something together. So for me, that's really what I see. In fact, at some point, we'll be having the Stephen McIntyre membership, foundation membership across all the countries of the world. But I need to build a critical, because it's about the values. Build your tribe first. Build people who genuinely believe in what you believe. Then after that, the rest will fall on top of it, layer by layer. Right? Build a community of people that you are an answer to their problem. Right? I don't need anybody to tell me that I am an answer to a quest that's been your heart for years now, probably 10 or more. Right? Because your heart is yearning for more. Right? There are more people like you. If I can assemble people like you, I will say, look, let's do this work together. Amongst ourselves, we'll be seeing our solutions right there. Because this partnership I'm talking, you will start connecting the dots amongst yourself. Okay, me, I can bring this to the table. Me, I can bring that to the table. Let's assume, for example, you want to start a hospital back in Nigeria. I have the land. You see my point now? You have the expertise. Right? You say, where's the money? We have the community of people. Right? Everybody begin to do syndication. Everybody's dropping £10,000, £20,000. You will easily raise your £5 million and you'll be a world-class hospital that will solve that problem. Right? But we have to come together. And it's when we come together and we understand the vision that we also defend that institution when the challenge start coming. Something happened in Toronto where I'm currently doing my Toronto tour. My Canada tour. And, you could see the hall was full of hungry people. They were hungry. And people have been telling me, come to Canada. Come. These people are hungry for your message. Right?
I think the Canadians are probably more hungry than the British.
Yes, they are.
diaspora.
Yes, they are. The Canada diaspora, Nigerian, they are extreme. In fact, that event showed me they are hungry. They are hungry. So it was, I remember I was training 3 hours, 4 hours. I'm not sure I've done that in recent year. I was just pouring. Only for a gentleman to then come in to ask his question. And I'm using this to say that we should not assume because they right cause, some people will not want to derail also. You see where we are going now. Because that's where we miss it. We convince ourselves because the cause is good, then nobody will derail. So when they now start derailing us, we feel like we've done something bad. You should have factored in the derailment into the equation. Right? So this guy now said, well, first of all, this is also how I met Dr. Stephen some years ago. He spoke so nice, eloquently. I felt, oh, what a great man. Only for me to pay for his property in Asaba. Before you know it, I did my investigation. to see the CFO did not have his company name on it.
You got the CFO. Okay.
Did not have his company name on it. I was shocked. I was frustrated. I even heard now somebody else paid $280,000 to him in Dubai too. The person did not get his property. You know, this thing, he went around. And at that point, you know, one of the person in the room, you know, as you know, they knew he was there to spoil and create commotion. That one had said, went to call the security people. You know, but what they didn't know is, and that's why as a leader you must be very smart. When he was talking, I watched the person sitting beside him go to the back with a phone, record it. So I knew that what he really wants is for the whole thing to scatter, and he has, or for us to manhandle him or the security people, you know, and he has. So when they brought this, I said, please let him talk. You know, some of the people in the venue too wanted. So once somebody wants to even give her, I said, no, I'm not talking to you. Hey, I didn't call for trouble. So I said, but calm down. He has asked me a question. I will give him a perfect answer. Calm the room down. The guy that brought the security to, I said, calm down. Just give me time with him. Right? You know, I'm not angry about his rudeness or anything. Let me address this man. So the place calmed down. I then said, number one, okay, when it comes to property, which obviously was ignorance on the guy's part, when he learned her C of O, and then I then buy it from you, they will not give me a new C of O. What will happen is that the person who sold it to me will give me a deed of assignment. And that GTEx has. Okay? So, for you to now be angry, and then now say, so I then went for my refund. You know, my heart was even skipping that maybe they've not paid him his refund. They say, they paid me, but when I changed the money, you know, dollar was, hey, so when I changed, they paid me my refund. I had to change it back to Canadian pounds. It's in fact at that point that's when he lost the whole audience. I just said he did marketing for me because everybody now wanted to buy from us. I've never seen a company in Nigeria that does refund.
Of course. There you are. What he meant for evil
turned out to be good. So people now start saying their stories. What I've experienced in Nigeria real estate. So you do refund. So so
wow.
You know. So I mean, everybody now. Do you know he left there angry in disgrace?
In shame.
Because he had thought he would scatter, everybody would get angry, everybody would leave the place, he left there. But where am I going? Some of the people who were part of that event made up their mind and said, anywhere Dr. Stephen is going on this tour, we are going with him. This movement will not die in Canada. So I had this group of 3 people. They drove for 2 days. I didn't know Canada is that big.
Canada is big,
right?
Cool.
And then started setting up the entire, you know, campaign of the tour in each cities. You know, now the kind of Toronto one, I had to use my money, pay for venue, pay for this. The other ones, they were working with the team, cut that cost to it. Said what this man is doing is not, because honestly, the tour wasn't about selling real estate really. That guy was just the one that now made the real estate part an easy sell. It was just inspiring people about entrepreneurship, about starting business, and just encouraging people. And of course, let's just say Canada has catch fire. Right? But what is now happening also is that he wasn't the only one apparently. There've been a group of people who have just had those messaging. You know, in fact, I had one with Bishop Abiy when he went to pray for our place in the US. You know, thank God he came, because that also exposed another group of people, you know, who had to now start calling him this and this. And if I didn't hear coming from Bishop Abiy, I would not have believed, because the ring leader of that was my best friend of over 20 years. Yeah, over 20 years. So my point is that we also have to be conscious that, as whether you're doing as an individual, or I'm going to Nigeria, I'm going to start a business, be prepared for those who will mess that entire, you know, prepare for it mentally, emotionally. Whether it's that you're going to come together as a group to say, let's go and do something, or even if it's here in the UK, say, let's do something in the UK, that they be prepared that there will be people whose mission, and by the way, they will believe God sent them. I need you to know that. Somebody said this. He said, until people believe God, the mission God gave them is to destroy you, you've not started your assignment. No, and it's true. Let me say it again. Until it gets to a point, some people believe that the only assignment God gave. So it sounds ridiculous, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Those who crucified Jesus, what were they doing?
And Paul as well.
No. What I'm saying is that those who crucified Jesus, what was in their hearts? They believed they were working for God.
Yes.
I don't know. They were convinced that killing Jesus was doing God like this. That they were protecting the image of God by killing Jesus. Am I making sense at all? So you need to know that people are in the quest of fulfilling purpose. People will believe genuinely, and they genuinely believe so. And it's not even that their assignment is to bring you down. And the assignment is to bring you down. And that's what God called them to do.
Jesus.
Yeah. So all this, there's no smoke without fire. And if I love people, everybody will love me. If I don't go after anybody, nobody will go after me. All those are kindergarten talks. As you rise higher in your calling, in your purpose, right? That becomes the belief. I mean, the church I attend, I have met several people. They will tell me they are convinced that Bishop Oyedepo is fake. They are convinced. I used to go for evangelism, and people will be telling us, say, which church? Your church that your pastor buried 7 cows. At that your altar, 7 cows was buried. And as the maggots are coming out, that's how the crowd are magnetized to your church.
Were they the ones that helped him to dig to bury the cow? Were they there?
No, but they will say it with confidence. In fact, one of them, I remember telling the person, I said, well, but if it's that easy to bury 7 cows and have that kind of crowd, I said, why haven't you buried your own cow? You know, because if it's just cow, thank God you didn't say human being, it was cow. Right? The last time I checked, I don't see, it's not a law, a crime anywhere, God or man, to bury cow. So if it can be as easy as burying 7 cows, bury your own,
and see your crowd,
and let's see how your own crowd will come. But it tells you what we are talking about here. A friend of mine, a mentee of mine was sharing with me, said, one day was bragging about me to his friend. I said, imagine Dr. Stephen lives in Burj Khalifa. I used to be in Dubai then. Lives in Burj Khalifa. He said, I said, a Nigerian lives in Burj Khalifa. And you think the source of the money is legit. Do you know how much Burj Khalifa cost? It must be money laundering. It must be. He said, and the guy went on. He said, all attempt to convince this guy that, oh, he's doing real estate. Oh, he has businesses. The guy kept saying, no, you watch out. You. So, he said, recently, you know, I moved to the US. As soon as the guy heard I'm no longer in Dubai, he said, I told you! I told you! You see now?
Where did you get the money?
No, it's not even where did he get the money.
He has run away from
He has
Dubai.
run away from Dubai.
Because they are looking for him in Dubai.
Yes.
Exactly. He's running away from Dubai. He said, I told you. I told you this.
That's human being anyway.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I just laugh. I like, if somebody will run away from, is it Dubai? Regulation is way easier than America. If you even run somewhere, it would be America, because America will hold you. FBI will hold you like this. Their law is even more rigid. Right? So, but it tells you where we are in. And I've learned, before that I don't go into conversation like that, but I learned that it's important to tell your own tribe what they will face, even when trying to tell people we are running a movement, they will tell you, oh man. But you must know why we are all doing this. And we also must know that the success of one person is the success of the other. Right? It's a movement that we need. Right? Most of us who are older, like you have been sharing, if you have known some of these things some years back, by now we'll be talking about probably you owning one of the biggest hospitals, either in Nigeria or elsewhere, right? You know, according to what you were sharing. But it took you a while to begin to understand the E-Meet, the book. By the way, we're recommending all of us to read the book called E-Meet, right? Very powerful book. It just helps you to understand the myth around entrepreneurship. Because if you are in the corporate world and then you want to evolve into entrepreneurship, there's some myths that you just, and there's so much assumption. But when you read books like this, it begins to help you to balance and understand the context of entrepreneurship. There are a lot of things, and like I said, that's also why most Nigerians are rather professionals and not entrepreneurs, because we really don't understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur. We think being an entrepreneur is just, you know, start a business. It's way deeper than that. And when it comes to wealth as well, we also don't understand, like he was sharing, the place of investment. That people like me, my edge is not that I started business. My edge is that I invested while I was doing business. You see the point now? So it doesn't matter what then happened to my business, my own financial stability is guaranteed. So if the business failed today, if my company failed today now, it will not reduce how many international trips I will do. It will not reduce the quality of where I live, how I live. Because while trying to grow our business, I also saw myself as a separate individual, different from the company. And they need to now also be investing for me outside of the company. They need to also begin to have sources of income for me aside the company, such that regularly I can borrow the company money, I can collect interest for even borrowing the company I own money. Right? I've had several times where I've had to borrow my company money. There are several times where what I had cash liquid was more than what the company had, right, personally. So, and because most entrepreneurs don't structure business that way, it's the reason why once anything happens to your business, it happens to you. So everybody just fall like a pack of cards, and these are things that needs to be fixed. I'm currently giving, because all these are in my books anyway, So we're giving we have a promo, we're pushing all my books, ebook. I think you have got.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, all my books, we are giving it ebook version.
Soft copy and audio book.
Yeah, so if you're doing the soft copy alone, 100,000 naira, less than $100. If you're doing both the e-copy and then the audio version, and 170,000 naira. So that's still, I think, less than £100 still. Right? Less than £100.
We're talking of 47 books.
Yeah, about 47 books. Right, so even if you can't do the reading, if you get the audio, at least you'll be listening to the audio. But I encourage, because there are a lot of, all these things have been discussed. How do you restructure? How do you start a business? How do you get funding? There are different books that address the various, what type of, even from agriculture to real estate business, to even doing real estate in the UK or in the US or in Nigeria or in Dubai. I'll put everything out. You know, I even had to do that with my recent book, because people started, they were making the whole expansion look mythical. There's nothing mythical about it. So I had to write a book around our US expansion, because people just, it looked mythical to some of them. Okay, we'll write a book step by step. If you two want to do it, go and do it. Where among my colleagues, one sent me a message one time. He said, we attend the same church, we believe the same thing. If I'm older than you, we are into the same business. The way you are moving, the result you are getting, you are way far ahead. There must be something.
Oh God.
I kid you not.
Yeah.
I mean, he meant to say it in a complimentary way, but that's how it came out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's